Hey there, Lord of the Rings SPG gamers. It's been a little while since I've been able to film. If you can tell, I'm in the new house. At some point, I'll give you guys a tour. It's going to be a while till I get my hobby space set up. But I wanted to talk today about something a little bit different, and that is Lord of the Rings music or Tolkien themed music. Everybody's preferences are different when it comes to music. But I have a little playlist on YouTube I've put together that I listen to when I'm doing hobbying or just to pass the time while I'm working. And it kind of runs the gamut from like folk to operatic, and then there's a good bit of black metal on there and other kinds of metal. So I'm just going to kind of run through the list and talk about some of this. And I've seen there's a really good video, but it's in Spanish, of a guy who covers like every Lord of the Rings themed or Tolkien themed metal band in Europe, along with their locality, like what country they're in. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of these little, underground black metal bands and extreme metal and stuff like that. A lot of that all over Europe. You may have noticed a little break there in the clip. I guess when you minimize the camera app in Windows 10, it stops your video. So hopefully I don't keep doing that. I'm trying to open another video. All right, and it looks like I was able to, another window. It looks like I was able to do that. Okay. You never know, I work with computers for a living. All right, so I'm going to go down my YouTube list here, just talk a little bit about each group. Before I do that, I want to mention there is a subreddit, for those of you who use Reddit, called Our Tolkien Music, and it's not very active, but there's a pretty good little list on there, varying styles. I've posted a few times. So let me just jump right into this really quick. First up is the group Clamavi de Profundis. I don't really know anything about them, but they make sort of like operatic, predominantly male vocalists, and they've done like the Song of Durin. They did Far Over the Misty Mountains Cold. They very recently released Lament for Boromir, and they did a really interesting take on it. It's much different. There's a couple other versions of that song that have been recorded by various people, and theirs I think is the most unique. They really changed it up, and they have some really stunning music. It's really easy to sing along to as well, if you're the kind of person who likes to sing in the car. Let's see. Then, of course, same group, Clamavi de Profundis, and that's spelled Clamavide Profundis. That way you can search that on YouTube pretty easily. They also have a couple a cappella versions of their songs, if that gives you an idea of the type of music they do. The next one, getting way deep into black metal territory. Like I told you, this is going to be up and down. So just stick with me. You'll hopefully find something you like. The next one is Avatar, and it's spelled Avathar. And Avathar is the basically the southern region of Arda where Ungoliant lived. It's like a land of darkness. It's more or less synonymous with like hell, or like, I don't know, the underworld in some ways. And the song I have here is called A Tale of Thousand Tears and the Death of Glaurung. And they really do a lot of stuff pertaining to the Silmarillion. They actually have a good bit of music. It's kind of hard to find. There used to be a Finnish website. You could download a lot of it. But if you can find their music and pay for it, I do recommend that. Support these very small, obscure acts if you can. And they have, it's black metal. There's a lot of screaming. It's kind of hard to decipher the lyrics sometimes. If you need to look up lyrics, there's a really great website called darklyrics.com. They have almost any metal act you can think of. They'll have the lyrics for, and if it's in a different language, they'll often translate it. And there's hardly any ads on the site, which is why I really like it. Next, there's a piano composition. It's an original piano composition by a guy named Jeremy Wiebe, Wiebe. I guess that's German. And he does piano music, but he made this really beautiful song called "The Fall of Gondolin." And it's like an emotional journey through the story of the fall of Gondolin, which if you've never read it, it's in I think it's in the Book of Lost Tales number 2. You hear about Gondolin a lot in the Silmarillion, and it's even mentioned in The Hobbit. But if you it's my favorite Tolkien story is The Fall of Gondor, and I'm really disappointed they never finished it. Hopefully they give it the Children of Hurin treatment and release it as its own standalone tale. But this particular piece is really beautiful, and it has like text on the video to go along with where in the story it is, and it's pretty awesome. The next group is called Emin Muil, and it's black metal. I haven't gotten to any summoning songs yet, but they're the spiritual successor of summoning. The music's very similar. It has a lot of the sort of the like, I don't know what to say, like a lot of like keyboard driven music, some orchestra elements, things like that. And their first album was called Turin Turambar Dagnir Glarunga, and it's awesome. It follows the story of Turin from beginning to end. It's super emotional. It's got some awesome songs on there. Definitely, if you like metal or Tolkien or any of that, check it out. Even if you don't like Tolkien, it's a good album. And they're actually coming out with a new album about the fall of Numenor. I can't remember the name of it. It's something and Kalima something. It hasn't come out yet. They've had a few teasers on their Facebook and on YouTube. Next one, this is a Russian artist, I believe. It's Hellawes. It's Hellawes. And she has, I believe it's a woman, she has the Song of Galadriel, which is Galadriel's Lament, as well as Nimrodel. And just really obscure one I found on YouTube one day. Really beautiful singing if you like that sort of thing. Less extreme than Emin Muil. Next is a song by a group called Ildra Arendil. The group is Ildra. The song is Arendil. Couldn't tell you where they're from. Don't know anything about them. I think it's mostly instrumental. Let's see. Then there's another one. Let me open this one. I'm going to mute it so I don't get in trouble with people. Okay, this looks like it's an original that somebody recorded by the YouTube account Kimber Leg, spelled exactly like it sounds. Again, just anything with decent singing that has lyrics from Tolkien, I usually add it to this list. And then next we get into the true gods of Tolkien themed metal, summoning. Summoning is a two-man act from Austria, I believe, and they have been around forever. They've covered every corner of Middle Earth musically. They're very extreme, but oftentimes haunting. They were the first group to have a song in black speech, like an original song in black speech. My two favorite albums of theirs are Let Mortal Heroes Sing Their Fame, I think is what it is, and then another one that just came out that these two songs are from called, don't know why I can't remember the name of it. Old Morning's Dawn, that's the name of their most recent album. They have two really awesome bonus tracks on there, one called The Darkening of Valinor, which is kind of about the Oath of Fëanor and his sons taking up their swords and swearing to hunt down anyone who takes a Silmaril. Let's see, moving on, there's Summoning with Fire and Sword. That's the other bonus track off Old Morning's Dawn. Then Battle Lore is they're a metal band, but they're more like melodic or I don't want to say power. They're not really power metal, but they're a little more easier to stomach than some of the Summoning stuff if you're not really into the black metal stuff. Battle Lore is really good. This song's called War of Wrath. It's about the War of Wrath. It's much more varied than other stuff. And they've been around for a long time. They've got a bunch of albums. I need to find some more of their music to listen to, actually. Another Lay of Nimrodel. It's the same song. Let me see who the artist is on this one. Sung by Margaret Davis of Brocelianda. Couldn't tell you who that is, but it's a good rendition. Just search Lay of Nimrodel on YouTube. You'll find a bunch of them. And here's the other Lament for Boromir that I mentioned. This one is by the Tolkien Ensemble. And the guy who kind of put together the Tolkien Ensemble, which was a series of albums, I'm not sure when it was done. It's been a while. I think before the movies when those were done. And it was done by professional musicians with opera singers, orchestras, all that sort of thing, and they did like every song in the books. They even had Sir Christopher Lee did a bunch of singing and spoken word stuff on those. You can hear him on At Theoden's Death, and there's a couple songs about like the Pelennor fields, and but this specific version of Lament for Boromir is really good. It's almost sung like an opera song. I like the Clamave de Profundis one better, but this would probably be my second choice. But beware, this guy is pretty litigious with getting videos taken down. I'm really surprised this one's still on YouTube. But you can I think you can still buy the Tolkien Ensemble albums. You might have to hunt them down. Let's see. Let me keep going here. And then there's Galadriel's Song of Eldamar. I Laurier Lantar, which is... this is another Tolkien Ensemble one. It's sung in Elvish. It's really nice. And then Galadriel's Lament. So it's the same song, but in Westron, I think is the technical name, or English as we know it. Let's see. Another one music by Marion Zimmer Bradley, performed by Broceliande, which is spelled Broceliande. Okay. Sorry I'm spelling these. I know it can be helpful. Oftentimes people in a YouTube video will say something really fast and they don't put a link up or the text, and I don't actually post these videos. Joe does, so I'm not able to add links and things like that. Let's see. Then there's Of Baron and Luthien, another really nice one. Sung by the Russian band Caprice, Caprice. That's a really nice, not metal song. Then The Fall of Gilgalad by Rivendell. Rivendell's a metal band. And this is The Fall of Gilgalad as sung by, I think Samwise sings that in one of the original trilogy books, or in one of the Lord of the Rings books. I got some more, another rendition of Fall of Gilgalad. That one doesn't have an artist on it, unfortunately. It's less heavy metal. Then Summoning had a couple albums that weren't strictly about Tolkien. I think there might have been some allusions to it, but they had a few albums that weren't, but they were still really good. Those are actually considered some of their better ones. Then one of the first Summoning songs I ever heard was called Elfstone, and it's about Aragorn, I believe, and is also Beleriand. Both really, really good songs. The album Beleriand is on, I can't remember the name of it. The song Beleriand is on... it doesn't say the album on here. Oh, Stronghold is the album. Really, really solid album. Really good songs on there. Great ending. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. This guy has a lot of music. I'm not sure if this is an individual or a group. It feels like it's done electronically, but it may not be. And the artist Lind Erebros, which is Linderebros. Lind Erebros. And he's got a couple albums called Elven Oratory. There's Elven Oratory 1 and 2. And I think 3. I think there's 3 of them, actually. Yeah. Looks like the first one is called Rebirth of Light. Number 2 is called Nol Dolante. And the third one is The Lay of Leithian. So I guess he kind of goes through the Silmarillion. And I believe he's Russian. Yeah, there's some Cyrillic script there in the title. I took Russian for a semester, and I can't remember any of it. I can't read it anymore. Lind Erebros is good. It's really like almost like movie thematic, opera, like really powerful orchestra music. It's pretty good stuff. Then there's this guy who does a lot of folk music, European folk music, called Hymir's Kettle. But he's written a few songs. He's done renditions of a few songs. He has Fog on the Barrow Downs, and he did one for Battle of the Five Armies. He's really interesting. He plays a ton of different really cool folk instruments. And mostly does like Celtic and Irish stuff, but he did do some Tolkien music as well. Then another one, I believe this is also a Russian group, Moongate's Guardian. They have some really awesome renditions of Tolkien stuff. I see The Misty Mountains Cold they did, like a black metal version of it. They did a walking song, Lament for Gandalf, which is a single, one of their singles, which was one of my favorite songs they did. Let's see, King Beneath the Mountains, Wanderers in the Shadowed Land, which is an EP by them. They have a lot of cool stuff. Next group is another black metal act. Like I said, there's a lot of metal on here. It's Ringwraith, and they have just a couple of different songs. They're not strictly Tolkien either, but their songs Halls of Moria and In Minas Morgul, Death Awaits. There's some more summoning. There's a group called Int, E-N-T. They're kind of like folky, like instrumental. But they have some pretty good stuff. They have a Bandcamp account or a Bandcamp page, and you can listen to most of their music and buy it. Songs Dark Valley and Valinor. Let's see, and here's a symphony I found actually by Johan de Meij. I believe that's Dutch. Spelled, the last name is M-E-I-J. It's just a symphonic telling in Lord of the Rings. I don't think there's any lyrics. There's Galadriel's song by Caprice. I think that's on there twice. And then there's, is that the actual movie version? Hold on. Here's a version of Elbereth Githoniel, and as by Martin Romberg. That's the YouTube account. Then someone who translated it and is reading it in Quenya, on the YouTube account, Lucia Dietz with a Z, Deeetz. Another Elbereth Githoniel. Here's the Finnish one. I think this is a opera. It's called Palalukseni. Probably butchered that. I believe that's about. I think that's a Lord of the Rings. Sometimes weird things sneak on here. Lorien again. This is the Finnish one I'm looking for. There's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce this, but it's basically the Lament of Boromir, but I believe it's done in Finnish. Let's see. Yeah, so that makes sense. A lot of Tolkien's languages were based on Finnish. Let's see. There's a whole on the YouTube account Mesmeric Moon. There's a really long video called Music Inspired by Middle Earth, which is sort of some like movie soundtrack type stuff. That's similar. There's some Clamavi de Profundis, the Song of Durin. Far Over the Misty Mountains Cold extended cover, which is like 15 minutes long. They did every lyric from the book, which I think in the Hobbit book, it's like, in my paperback, it was like 2 or 3 pages long. So it's a really solid song. It looks like they have it in 2 parts here. Then I have the ones from the soundtrack, the Ed Sheeran Icy Fire. Here's another really good artist, Urielle, Eurielle, and she does a lot, sort of a similar style to Clamavi de Profundis, but she is a female vocalist, so it sounds a little different. She also has a rendition of Song of Durin, as well as the Lament for Thorin, Bridge of Khazad-dûm. That's a really tough song. It's basically when Gandalf dies, and if you remember in the movie, there's that female vocalist singing really, really high. She does a pretty good job of it. You've got Billy Boyd, The Last Goodbye. Let's see. Carlien is the other rendition of Lament for Boromir. Actually, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Karliene. It's the YouTube account. And then there's this other guy named Colin John Rudd. He's an English dude. His YouTube account is Colin John Rudd, John with an H, Rudd with 2 D's. And he, just some guy who plays guitar and sings, but he's covered like a ton of songs, a ton of Tolkien stuff, and he has a really nice voice. And, he does some of them almost as like spoken word, not really singing them as much as saying them. And he's got some awesome. You got to sort through his videos because some of them are pretty far back. He's been inactive for quite some time, but he has a really extensive list of videos. Hope he never takes him down. He's really talented. If you do go over to his account, send comments. Hopefully he'll get them in his email and keep making stuff. And then, the one I mentioned, the video in Spanish, I believe, about all the bands. It's called, it's on the band or the YouTube account Metallovision, and it's the title is Tolkien Metal European Metal Channel. So definitely go check that out. This video is getting a little bit long for me to just be talking about music, but it's something, near and dear to my heart. It can pass the time when you run out of podcasts or videos about Hobbit stuff. And so be sure to check some of those out. I'm going to have Joe or Dan put the link to my playlist in the description of the video. It's on my personal account. It's a public playlist, so feel free to check it out. Leave comments about things you like or bands you know of that you didn't see. I didn't obviously cover the soundtrack music just because... we all know about the movie soundtracks. I do recommend you buy the soundtracks if you can. My brother, for when the Hobbit movies were coming out, for my birthday every year, he got me like their nice version of the soundtracks with like 2-disc packages, the little book and all that stuff. Those are really nice. Nice to have in your collection, I guess. I'm gonna leave you guys there. Hopefully, when I come back, I can give you a tour of what might be the hobby space. I'm not sure the room in the garage is going to be a dedicated, miniatures area. There might have been some objections from certain members of my family about that. And it's also the climate isn't the best out there. It's partially insulated, but it gets pretty hot and humid out there, so I'm not sure I want to put all my stuff. Plus, my office is in the guest bedroom. You can see the bed behind me. My office is in the guest bedroom, so it's okay if I make a bit more of a mess as opposed to my old house where we're basically in the living room. So when my desk was messy, it was we had people over. It was kind of an eyesore, admittedly. Miniatures wise, I have no progress. My stuff's all sitting in the garage outside. But when I get back to it, I think I'm going to continue on with Rohan. Probably do some terrain stuff since I have lots of space now to really spread out and make a mess. But it's going to be a while. But hopefully my next thing will just be to kind of talk about how to use my newfound space. This house is gigantic compared to my old one. I feel like the rooms are real empty right now. So I have a lot of space to work with, so that's good. Just a quick update. I know Dan and Joe did a video on the channel here about it, but if you're interested, June 10th in Dunn, North Carolina, which is basically in Raleigh. It's on the outskirts of Raleigh, North Carolina, which is our state capital. They're having the Ring Goes South at Dragon's Tears Gaming. It's going to be 700 points, Nova 2017 comp. I think they're doing 3 or 4 games in a day. They're going to have lunch. It's not a super early start. They start at like 11:30, I think. So if you can make it to North Carolina for that, great. If not, the next one I think is either going to be in the fall or next year we're going to have it in Charlotte, and we'll have a little bit more lead time. We were going to do one in Charlotte on Memorial Day weekend, and it just wasn't happening. We couldn't find a good space for it. It would have been tough to. We just kind of lost momentum, and everybody got busy. But we were able to secure a space for this one. They had a small tournament there last year at one of our members, the North Carolina guys' houses. I think it was only 10 people, but this one I think they're doing up to 20 people, and there's not very many spots left. So if you want to go on the ASBGA Facebook group, American Strategy Battle Game Alliance. Click on events, and it's on there. It's called The Ring Goes South. And be sure to RSVP and get in touch and send in your list and pay and all that stuff so you secure your spot. With that, I'm going to sign off and get back to work. I needed a little bit of a break. Going kind of crazy, so I'll be back with my next video at some point in the near future. So be sure to comment, like, share, subscribe, support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming. And I just realized I totally copied GBHL, so I'm sorry about that, and goodbye.